Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Live. My name is Jeff Ghaemaghamy, and today we're going to talk to you all about your immune system and what's happening with this nuts virus. It's been 2 years, and you know it's probably going to be another year or two before we really get this under control, if we can. We do these lives every single Sunday, 11 a.m. New Zealand time, 9 or 8 o'clock East Coast Australia. And you know where you are in the rest of the world. Thank you so much for tuning in today. First, I'd like to give a heartfelt thoughts to all the people who've been affected negatively. There have been millions of people who have been negatively affected by COVID. And that's not just the people who have passed away, who have died, but there are people who have long COVID symptoms and medical conditions that may go on for decades, if not the rest of their lives. So let's just take a moment and just really, my heart goes out to all those people who have been negatively affected, and feel very blessed that our family has not been at this point. Today I want to talk to you about the virus. I want to talk to you about immune system. I want to talk to you about some things you can do to protect yourself and your family, your friends, your customers from COVID, particularly this new variant, Omicron, and its sister and potentially its children in the future, because this virus is so quickly mutating. So I just wanted to start with that on that point. I love questions. So questions, comments, be on the court. Hundreds and hundreds of people. There's Bentley's coming for a bit of a sneak preview. Hundreds and hundreds of people tune in each week. Only a handful of you do all the commenting and that. So we really love it when you all participate, right? This is not like watching in the bleachers. This is something where the more you participate, the better. Okay, I've got a slideshow to share with you, and I'm going to do it just literally by taking my camera and putting it on the screen. So let's start with that first. But actually, before we start with that, let me just ask you a question. And I did this a few weeks ago, but I want to do it again. I want you to kind of really grab this, and embody this. If I offered you $1 million for your eyesight, would you take the money? For both your eyes? No. What if I offered you, $2 million for, your kidneys? You can go on dialysis for 5 hours a day. Who'd take the money? $2 million would buy you a beautiful home and set you up. I mean, that's a great offer. No. How about if I offered you $3 or even $4 million for your lungs? You could go on a respirator, to oxygenate your body. No. How about $5 million for your heart? $10 million for your brain? How about, $12 million for both arms and both legs? No. No, no, no. I mean, you are the most valuable thing you own. And I really want you to embrace that for a second. You are the most valuable thing that you own. Yet how many of you say, oh, it's expensive? How many of you know what to do but don't do it? Right? You know what to eat. How many of you ate the perfect diet to live to 103 and then climb a tree? 8, 10, 12 servings of fruits and vegetables yesterday. High fiber, low fat, right? Reduce sugar, not eliminate sugar in your diet. Drink 8 to 10 glasses of clean water each day. How many? You all know what to do. How many of you are actually doing it? How many of you are treating your body as if it were a precious commodity, the most precious commodity you owned? I mean, really. You know what to do, but how many of you are actually doing it? I got to tell you, I know that. I got to tell you, I knew all that 10 years ago before I had a heart attack, which totally surprised me. I was just making the wrong. I knew it all, but I wasn't doing it. I had all the supplements, and I was kind of taking them here and there, sporadically. I knew what to eat, but I was eating fettuccine because it's just my favorite versus fish. And so knowledge is absolutely useless unless you actually put it into practice. And I'm sharing this with you because these are the conversations I have with people when I talk to them about our products. This exact conversation, you want to memorize it like you're memorizing this, the part in a play or a movie. Okay? Learn the information to share with people that's going to kind of get them thinking about what's really important in life. And for $2, $3, $4, $5, $10 a day, you less expensive. Go and do this. Go and grab, 10 servings of fruits and vegetables. Go to your supermarket. Do this. Literally, go. I want you to get this in your mind, okay? Because what you focus on will expand. Go and grab a nectarine and an orange and a banana and some beetroot and some spinach and a serving of each of these things. 10 different whatever fruits and vegetables are the more veggies the better. Fruit are high in sugar, so they're natural sugars, but they aren't processed sugars, but still more veggies. And the brighter the color, the better. A fistful of strawberries or blackberries or blueberries, a fistful is an apple, fistful orange, a fistful. But go and take them to the scale in your supermarket and get an impact of what it costs to eat well. Okay. Now, what I'm about to talk to you about, I want to give you a very clear. We are not here to diagnose. We are not here to prescribe anything or make any medical claims. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is all about your immune system and how vital it is. And I really hope you share this message with every single person. I hope you hit those little, what they call it, the button, little dots in the corner, and that you share this, link with each and every person in your team, whether they're active or not, because you need to wake people up. I mean, wake up and really understand the impact. Okay, so with that dramatic introduction, let me take and focus my camera on the screen. While I'm doing that, tag people is great. Tagging them is great, but I really recommend also that you share the link because, listen, not everyone goes to Facebook every day like you, okay? I know, it seems crazy. Not everyone will take the time and watch all these things, so you have to highlight what's important. Okay, while I'm doing this, go and tag someone, go share this, and here we go. Let's see if we can get this over here. All right, so I'm going to share it on my screen here. Very high tech I am. And I always get comments about Donna's chairs, so let's see if I can get this here. Oh, there we go, perfect. Okay, so let me just scroll in a little bit here. Alrighty, so let's go through here step by step and talk about Ralph Waldo Emerson's statement. Your first wealth is your health. And that's exactly what I was highlighting before. How much would you pay? How much are you worth? Here's the staggering statistics. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 disease in the world. Almost 18 million people. These are 2017 stats. There are nothing updated yet since the latest census. But hang on, we got a little thing going on here. Let's see if we can get this from wobbling. Can we get that? Oh, it's not what I wanted to focus. Hang on, sorry, folks. There we go. 9.56 million people cancer. Almost 10 million people cancer. Respiratory diseases, okay, which is what COVID-19 is, 4 million. Now, of course, we've seen that rise significantly, but by far the most, let's just say between cardiovascular disease and cancer, we're looking at something like 26, 27 million people every year die of those. Now, what is a virus? Listen, going back to the 1300s, we had bubonic plague, where 200 million people, at the time that was half of the world population, died. And we could talk about, the strongest survive, and that helps the gene pool, etc. But viruses have really been something, smallpox in 1520s, 1700s we had, the Great Plague, 3 million people died, 600,000 people died in the 18th century with the Great Plagues. Spanish flu, 50 million, 1 million with the Russian flu. These are the early, late 1800s. Right up to, HIV/AIDS, where we've had 35 million people have died of AIDS. Hong Kong flu million. So, we have had viruses, and there are literally thousands of viruses, millions of viruses. Viruses live within each of us. It's how our bodies are able to detect them, and let's talk about exactly what happens. So, coronavirus and all its iterations have today had, 392, almost 393 million people have. It's about just over 5.5% of the world population have got COVID. That's about 1 in 20. Okay, there's been 5.7, over 5.7 million deaths. So again, if we look back to the heart disease and cancer, this is over 2 years, or just over 2 years. So if you average out 2.5 million, so it's still only about 10% of the deaths from cancer and heart disease. I want to put it in perspective, okay, that this has been terrible, and no one wants to see anyone have these challenges. But this is a reality that we've all had to come and understand. Vaccines and the role that vaccines play in this world. And let me back up for a second and just talk about what actually, let me just go back a slide, and let's just talk about what is COVID-19? Why has it been so deadly? Why have there been this 5 million deaths, 5.7 million deaths? It's not the virus. So you really need to understand. I've talked to so many people who they think the virus is killing them. It's not the virus, okay? What is killing people, or what is giving people what's called long COVID, and you don't see this number. You see 5.7 million deaths. You don't see the tens upon tens of million people who are suffering with long COVID, or side effects or damage from what's happened. Here is how the virus affects you. The virus, think of it like a mosquito, a cellular mosquito that comes in and it injects its little spike, okay, into your DNA, into your nucleus, into your DNA. And your body, your cytokines, okay, and your cytokines are like a switch that triggers and turns on your immune system. It creates a cytokine storm, an overreaction, an absolute like, whoa, who are these guys? Where'd they come from? Send in the troops, and it causes an overreaction, and your cytokines turn on your immune system, your NK cells, your T cells, all these different immune, defense systems in your body, and they attack that virus. They attack that COVID-19 virus. They attack the mosquito, and they wipe it out. But because your body has gotten too overreacted, the cytokines have really just totally overreacted and sent way too many immune cells to defend. It's actually your immune system, which does the damage to the lungs, which does the damage to the heart, which does the damage to the liver, which does damage to the brain and other vital organs around the body. It's not COVID-19 that kills people or gives people these long-term negative side effects. It is your immune system. In fact, you could almost consider a similarity between COVID-19 and autoimmune diseases. An autoimmune disease also is where your immune system is overreacting. Psoriasis, arthritis, there's so many different types of, different autoimmune diseases. You can go and Google to understand what I'm talking about. So, the vaccine was created. Now, whether you're pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine, I respect either of those points of view. The vaccine has had a role to play, although now we are seeing that the vaccines actually don't prevent COVID, the spread of COVID, or getting COVID. They certainly have helped in some cases. And we got Siri here topping in. They certainly have helped in cases. Oh, it's really excited here. They certainly have helped why is this happening? So, and there's lots of people, we could talk about mRNA versus the vector vaccines versus the protein-based vaccines, which are coming out soon, kind of more old school. Whatever your opinion is on the vaccine, there's been around 90% of the population of the world have been vaccinated, over the age groups. So, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into pro or anti, because that's your personal opinion, and I respect that, wherever you're coming from. Okay, we're not here to talk about or get into that conversation. It's not going to take us anywhere. But what I will say is that the number of cases have just, in fact, this is a old slide, sorry here. The number of cases have absolutely exploded. This is not the slide I thought I'd put in. I'm sorry. We have had a spike. It's just gone nuts. A spike of new cases with the new variant called Omicron. Now, Omicron doesn't seem to be as deadly. In other words, not as many people in hospital or dying with it, but there is certainly it is more transmissible. And it's a fact, I believe, that every single one of you, we've only had 5%, 1 in 20 people have gotten the first couple of strains, COVID, and then, there was several different strains through to Delta, our most recent, and now we're on to Omicron. Those other variants are still in the community, but they've been overshadowed by this new Omicron variant, and watch out for B1 and B2 coming soon, kind of the sister virus to Omicron. But these viruses have been, as I was saying, everyone. My belief is that just like you've all had the flu. How many of you have never had the flu? I mean, some people get the flu every single year. Some people get it every few years. I used to get the flu twice a year prior to going on supplementation. In the last 20 years, I've only had 3 times I've had to go on antibiotics where I've had man flu. So there's definitely a role in supplementation, with these viral infections. And the flu or influenza is a virus. So masks, I want to just talk about, it's kind of interesting. Everyone has been, talking about masks are so vital and masks are important. I found, someone sent me this cute picture. I thought it was fantastic. Here's different kinds of masks. You have, for smoke, painting mask, mining, pesticides, radioactive here, and here's the deadliest virus in history, right? So it's kind of ridiculous that this little, thin mask is really going to do very much. And I found this is quite fun. I'm sure maybe some of you have seen this. You can put a couple masks together, go whenever you like. But just in all fun and just taking the pun of things, what's really people aren't talking about, and this is just blows me away, is all the talks about you must wear a mask, you must do this. Where is the talk about your immune system? Where is the talk about one of the most important things you can do for your health and prevention of not just COVID-19, but all viruses, and in fact heart disease and cancer, etc., is boost your immune system. If our governments around the world were so concerned about our health, they would ban McDonald's, ban smoking, they would ban all the trans fats and sugars. There's a really interesting narrative happening around the world, and nowhere, you just don't see it anywhere in any mainstream media talking about boosting your immune system. Guys, this is the conversation you want to have with people. I'm not saying don't wear a mask. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be washing your hands, but boosting your immune system is the number one way, okay, that you can help prevent long-term damage from these types of viruses. Now, let me talk to you about what are called immunomodulators, okay? We have a couple of products that are very powerful at boosting your immune system. And the first one is R squared day. Okay? R squared day is made up of something called Cordyceps CS4 mushroom. It's a mycelia. It's a fungus. Okay? And it has some pomegranate extract. We found a chemical in pomegranate and also a particular species of ginseng, RB1, which is actually made for us. It's Pharmanex Asian ginseng. It's not, no other company has this strain of ginseng. Okay? But it's the cordyceps I want to talk about today. Cordyceps CS4 are what are called immunomodulators. Now let me just take a second and talk about what is an immunomodulator. An immunomodulator, actually let me go back to I want to go for a second, just talk about this for a second. An immunomodulator, okay, is a substance that is like a thermostat. Okay, I want you to think about a thermostat. You turn on your air conditioning system, right, and you set it to 22 degrees, for example. And that air conditioner has a thermostat that when the temperature comes down to 22 or goes up, depending if you're heating or cooling, when it reaches that 22 degrees, it turns off. Okay, that thermostat. Well, an immunomodulator is kind of similar to a thermostat. In other words, cordyceps, or the chemical of cordyceps called cordycepsin, is an immunomodulating fungus or mushroom. And what that means is that when remember that cytokine I was talking, the cytokines get triggered, they're like switches, they send out a call, help, help, we need help. And they send the immune system, the T cells and the NK cells, natural killer cells, they send all of these these signals to the immune system saying, quick, quick, come and attack the mosquito, come and attack this. In this case, I'm going to talk about COVID-19 virus. It could be any kind of virus. It could be even a cancer cell. Your immune system sends something to attack it. Okay? I hope that makes sense. If you've got a question, type below, Jeff, what do you mean by that? So I can clarify it for you later and for everybody else. So, the challenge, as I said before, with the COVID-19 virus is that it, when your cytokines, kind of the alert system finds it, it goes totally berserk. It creates a storm. It creates an overreaction. And of course, that sends too many T cells, natural killer cells, and other immune system cells to attack this foreign virus. An immunomodulator, like what you find in cordyceps, cordycepsin is the chemical name, will boost your immune system. So this, it helps to boost that immune system quickly to fight off any viral infections. But like a thermostat, if it starts to get overheated or overreacts, this is called upregulating your immune system and downregulating. So it upregulates initially, but if that immune system is overstimulated, then it will downregulate that immune system, keeping it at a constant to fight the virus, but not damage your healthy cells. This is why I would highly recommend anyone and everyone that yourself, your family, your children, your neighbors, your friends, your customers, all be on an immunomodulator. It will not prevent COVID. I'm going to repeat this. Cordyceps does not prevent COVID. Cordyceps does not prevent cancer. Cordyceps does not prevent other viruses. Cordyceps does not stop or cure any disease. It simply helps to stimulate your immune system if you have a compromised immune system, and so we call it upregulating. But more importantly, particularly with the COVID strain, this COVID mosquito, is it helps to downregulate. Does that make sense? Can you understand how important what I'm saying to you is? It doesn't mean you're not going to get COVID. it means that there's a far less chance of long-term damage. Does that make sense? I'm not talking about death. I mean, I'm not talking about not dying, right? What I'm talking about is that if your immune system overstimulates, then that causes your immune system to damage your lungs, your heart, your liver. Now, some people who have excessive damage die. Most people, like I'm talking about, there's only a little over 1% of people who die of COVID. So you can work the numbers out. I'm sure you've heard these statistics. But it is the vast majority of people who have damage. Some don't even know that damage is there, that may cause damage into the future. And I'm going to talk more about some of the things that can happen in a minute. So, number one is I'm going to recommend for you all to be on this product called Vitality, or it's called R² Day. Okay? There is another product that has cordyceps that we have, and it's called Cordyceps, CS4. CORDYCEPS, Cordyceps. Okay? Go and Google it. Don't just trust me. Go and Google this stuff. Go and type Cordyceps COVID-19 and start reading. Okay? I have a couple studies here that I want to share with you. Okay, so this is published, these are published clinical studies, okay, in PubMed, the National Library of Medicine, okay. Cordyceps malarius, okay, an overview of its chemical constituents in relation to biological activity. And in this article, okay, which was published, it says, recent scientific reports indicate potential of cordycepsin in antiviral activity, particularly against COVID-19. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not just trying to sell you products. I'm trying to make sure you understand the information. You can share this information with your customers and your friends and your family. Here's another article. Oh, here we got a little bit of a jiggly thing going on again. Is another study, okay, published in PubMed. Since cordycepsin has both preclinical and clinical evidence on antiviral activity, in addition to the present findings, further validate and suggest repurposing potential of cordycepsin against COVID-19. I mean, there's lots and lots of articles. Here's another article, okay? Promising potential pharmaceuticals from genus Cordyceps for COVID-19 treatment, okay? And I'm not going to read all this to you, but basically, moreover, they can be used either as maintaining the lung function after overcoming the disease. This paper demonstrates that Cordyceps sinensis and malarius, sinensis is natural, and this is grown in lab. Ours is natural. Might be used for treatment of COVID-19 to reduce inflammation and fibrosis, increasing immune response and antiviral effect. So, another powerful mushroom for your immune system is called reishi. An ingredient called reishi, or Ganoderma lucidium, is a very powerful immune boosting mushroom. It grows like a hard, crusty mushroom on the side of a stump. Okay? Actually, let me go back just a second. I'm sorry. Going back to this cordycepsin, this is worth 3 times the price of gold. 3 times the price of gold, over 5,000 US dollars an ounce. And we have the only cordyceps in the world that is as identical to the natural cordyceps found in the Himalayas. Okay, let's go back here and talk about reishi. The reishi mushroom, okay, found in our Reishi Max GLP, is an immunomodulating mushroom as well. The cordyceps, the reishi or Ganoderma lucidium also upregulates and downregulates your immune system. In a clinical study at the National University of Taiwan, they saw an 822% increase in your immune system in the clinical study. Okay? That is 10 times more potent than other reishi products. That is 17 times. You hear lots of people talk about get more vitamin C for COVID. 17 times more powerful than vitamin C. Okay? This is a very, very, very powerful immunomodulating, immunoboosting substance. So, again, you can choose between R squared day or cordyceps CS4 that has cordycepsin, or you could use reishi. Personally, I take them both because they work a little bit differently. But if you're on a budget, choose between the two. Okay, cordycepsin, our particular formula is a little bit cheaper than reishi. You can choose what's best for you. Now, there's some clinical research to do with this, but it's all coming through right now, so that's very interesting. The last thing I want to talk to you about is something really interesting, and this is to do with your telomeres, okay? And what I'd love to do actually is just give me a second. I want to actually draw something for you on this bit of paper. So let's just switch my view here to my paper for a second. Let's see if I can get this down low enough. So when we talk about, my table's running out of room here. Lots of things going on at the same time. When we talk about your cell, there's your cell. You're made up of 70 trillion cells. Inside your cell is your nucleus. Inside your nucleus is your DNA. Okay? On the ends of this DNA, okay, if I just magnify this up here a little bit, are your telomeres. Okay? And your telomeres are like little caps that sit on the ends of your DNA strand. Okay? These little ends on the ends of the DNA strand are what actually protect your cells. No, I'm sorry. That's not correct. They don't protect your cells. They actually protect the ends of the chromosomes, okay, from unraveling. I want you to think of a shoelace. Think of your shoelace and you're trying to thread it through. These little telomeres sit on the ends of the shoelace, keeping them all intact. And every time your cell divides, every 90 days or so, your cells replicate. One cell replicates and the cell dies. And every time that happens, these telomeres get a little bit shorter. This is what's believed to cause the aging process. So as these telomeres get shorter and shorter and shorter, okay, at a certain point they get so short that they are not able to stay and they unravel. Okay? Here is another view of what telomeres look like. Okay? So we have here your DNA strand, okay? And on the ends, you have telomeres. All right? And these, just like having a shoelace, a nice healthy telomerase or telomeres look like this. At some point, they may all unravel and that's when your cell dies. Now, there are lots of clinical studies sharing that science today believes that one of the things that has to do with longevity is your telomeres. In other words, keeping your telomeres nice and healthy, okay, keeps that cell living perpetually. And the longer you can have that cell live, the longer you will live. That's not me saying that. That's the scientific studies. The ingredients inside of Y-span, known as youth. Y-span stands for youth span, depending on the market you're in. The ingredients in youth, particularly the purple corn, the japonica root, okay, and also the rosemary, has particular effects in this particular formula to protect your telomeres. That is why in the doctor's desk reference, this is listed as an anti-aging supplement. In other words, anti means stopping the aging process because it preserves your telomeres. Now, why is this important in this whole virus thing? Science Daily. Study links severe COVID-19 to short telomeres. In the study, patients with severe COVID-19 disease have significantly shorter telomeres, according to a new study. Researchers postulate that telomeres shortening as a consequence of the viral infection impedes tissue regeneration. And that is why significant numbers of patients suffer from prolonged sequelae or disease. In other words, you're all going to get COVID. It may be a more gentle form like Omicron, but all of these COVID viruses are causing damage to your telomeres, and you want to protect those telomeres. And the best way I know to protect those telomeres is with a product like Y-span. Does that make sense? Here's another study. This was again published in a medical journal. Shorter telomere lengths in patients with severe COVID-19 disease. Here's the abstract. I've blown it up for you. One mechanism of aging is the progressive shortening of telomeres, which are the protective structures at the chromosome ends. Right? That's the tip of the shoelace. The SARS CoV2 virus infects many different cell types, forcing cell turnover and regulation to maintain tissue homeostasis or life. We hypothesize that the presence of short telomeres in older patients limits the tissue's response to the infection, the COVID infection. We find that shorter telomeres are associated with increased severity of the disease. Wow. We find that shorter telomeres are associated with the increased severity of the disease. We could talk about this for an hour. In other words, having healthy telomeres will decrease the severity of the disease. Individuals with lower percentile telomere length and higher percentile of short telomeres have a higher risk of developing severe COVID-19 pathologies. What does that mean? Individuals with lower percentile of telomere length and higher percentile of short telomeres, in other words, people who have damaged telomeres or shorter telomeres, have an increased risk of long COVID or all the damage that happens. They may not die. Maybe they recover, but they have long-term damage that we're not going to know what that means for 5, 10, 20, 30 years. Could it mean a shorter life? Could it mean increased risks of different types of cancer? Could it mean lung difficulties or heart difficulties or liver difficulties or brain difficulties? No one will know until time passes. But what scientists are saying now, and this is published in a medical journal, is that having shortened telomeres increases your risk. Are you getting the impact on this? Here's another study. Telomeres and COVID-19. Here's the abstract. The focus of this communication is a potential biomarker, short telomere length, otherwise known as TL, telomere length, that might serve to identify patients more likely to die from COVID-2 infections, regardless of age. In other words, what does this mean? Why have some people in their 20s died of COVID and other people in their later years have died of COVID? Someone who seemingly is totally perfectly healthy. What they're saying here is that they believe, and this is ongoing research, but in this study they believe that short telomeres might identify patients more likely to die, regardless of age. Because you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s does not mean you don't have damaged telomeres. These findings are consistent with data that lymphocyte, TL, telomere length, dynamics impose a limit on T cell proliferation. They suggest that T cell, what's this word? Lymphocysis, I can't even say the word. The L word, let's just call it T cells, might stall in individuals with short telomeres. Wow. In other words, what they're saying here is that people with short telomeres, that their immune system, is affected. Interesting stuff, isn't it? It's all about protecting the telomeres. Why Y-span helps our body repair and live longer is because it protects your telomeres. It supports healthy length of telomeres. This is something that I believe forget about COVID, every single person in the world wants to be on. Is it expensive? Yes. It's, just the japonica root extract, 1.2 grams. You would have to drink 100 bottles of red wine every single day to get that much. Can you focus on this? To get that much resveratrol. 100 bottles of red wine. I'm talking about the good stuff, not the cheap stuff. Okay? This is incredible. Absolutely incredible formula. So, this year, I'm making health my number one priority. I want you to write that down and think about it. How much are you worth? How much are you worth? How much is your health worth? Are you willing to spend $5 or $10 a day on health? If $5 or $10 a day is a game breaker for you, then find a way to market our products or do something else to create that income. This is your health. You are the most valuable thing you own. I just will not accept anyone telling me I can't afford it. I just will not accept that kind of excuse. You are the most valuable thing you own. To not spend that money on your health is like saying I'm not going to insure my car or my home or my contents. I'm not going to wear a seat. You must put yourself first. Does that make sense? I see people who say they can't afford it and they smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. I see people who say they can't afford it but they still put money in a park. They'll pay $10 for parking a day or $20 for parking a day. Right? But they won't put the right good stuff inside of their body. Of course, the best thing you can do is eat a great diet. But how many of you could drink 100 bottles of red wine a day? I mean, I didn't want to drink one, maybe one. You want to put the best nutrition in your body. You want to teach your customers, your friends, your family, educate them about this subject. It's so, so important. Guys, I've been ranting on for 45 minutes. I hope you got value from this live. You're all going to get a variant. If it's not COVID or if it's not Delta, if it's not the new Omicron, it'll be B1 or B2 or some other variant in the future. You need to protect your cells. The best way you can do that is by having an immunomodulator like the cordyceps or the reishi. Either of those two. And every single one of you want to be on Y-Span. Now I know a lot of you are taking liquid gold, the collagen. I know a lot of you are excited about Meta, and also this will have a positive effect on your immune system because a healthy gut is healthy immune. So I don't want you to be a pill popper and have, just be taking, I take them. I take every day Life Pack. I take every day Y-Span. I take every day Meta. I take every day R2 Day and R2 Night. I take every day T-Green. I take every day Reishi. I take every day Collagen Plus. In fact, I think I double dosed it. I just love this stuff so much. I drink what's it called? The little watermelon sachet. I forget what it's called now. I love that product. When I'm thirsty, I don't want to drink a soda or I'll drink that with water, which is a great energy booster. Okay, every single day, those are the products I use in my body. Okay, now I do that because my health is my first wealth. Guys, I hope you have a phenomenal, phenomenal week. Please. They have to be in the group. Add them to the group. Okay? Get them to accept and then send this link. This is all about education. And I hope you find it of value. Have a fantastic weekend. Oh, I have some announcements. Next Sunday is Amplify. Amplify is when we bring all of our leaders together and you get to hear from all the incredible people, all the leaders who are making shit happen, who are expanding their business, who are changing their lives and changing other people's lives. Make sure, same time, 11 a.m. New Zealand time, 9 or 8 o'clock East Coast Australia. You know where you are in the rest of the world. Tune in for that Amplify session. You're going to love it. Also, one other quick note. The Cordyceps CS4 is going to be 15% off on the 8th of February. That's in the Pacific region. And I mean, this product it's around $45 a bottle. You got to buy two, so it's like $90 for 2 bottles in Australia. It's 100 and something in New Zealand. That is a great immunomodulator to be on for the price. I mean, that is unbeaten. Okay, beyond that, get on your Y-Span. Protect your immunity, guys. Bye for now.